How's it going, everybody? Welcome to OP Entertainment. I'm Omar Darwish.
And I'm Pratik Cherian.
And this is our review of They Clone Tyrone, directed by Juel Taylor.
Directorial debut.
Yeah, and we're going to go spoiler-free on this because I think you guys should see this one. I think you really should see this one. I enjoyed it. I didn't love it. How do you feel?
No, I'm right there with you. There's a lot of things that I didn't enjoy so much, but overall, I think it was more pleasant than not. I had a good ride all throughout. The acting was great.
The acting is the star.
Yes.
Yeah, of this movie.
Very much so.
Everybody was great. This is starring John Boyega, Jamie Foxx, Tiana Paris.
Yes. Yep.
That's pretty much those are pretty much the leads that we are following the whole movie. Once we get them all together, that's when the movie really starts for me.
Yeah.
It kind of has a slow start. It's hard to say it had a slow start because it gets right into the thick of it all.
I think it's one of those movies where it starts out and I'm just like, I don't exactly know what we're doing. Because I don't know about you. I didn't actually do a bunch of research.
I didn't want to know anything about this.
I knew nothing about this movie going in. So I walked into it and I was just like, where is this set? When is this set? What are we doing?
Yeah.
What is this?
Okay.
And then the second we get our main characters together, it's like, boom, and we're off.
Yeah, exactly. And so did you feel like everything preceding that kind of felt like it was meandering a little bit?
I don't know about meandering. I think I was so curious about what we were doing, and I was just so ready to get with the story that.
Okay, that kind of gets me into my gripe with the movie, which isn't even a huge gripe, but it's my gripe with the movie. I feel like this movie. You said you didn't really know what to expect going in. I didn't know what to expect going in. As soon as it starts, you pretty much know exactly what's going to happen next for the rest of the movie. And that's not a feeling that goes away. Every scene, you're like, okay, so we got to get from this point to this point, gotcha. Then we're going to get to this point, gotcha. And it's like, without spoiling it, I can't really go any further, but...
I think there's one specific... I don't want to call it a montage necessarily, but I think there's a sequence in the middle of the movie where
repeated a lot. Is that what you're talking about?
Not repeated, but where they're doing the investigating of
yes.
And I think that part felt a little bit
There's a lot of
fresh.
There's a lot of stupid in this movie too.
That's-
I'll say that. I mean, they all get together to solve this mystery, very Nancy Drew and that's in the movie. One of the characters is kind of obsessed with Nancy Drew, and so that's why she's a detective, wants to be a detective. This shit now, and it's I don't know, a lot of convenience for convenience.
There is
in
a
this
lot
movie.
of convenience. In it.
But I think this is one of those movies where you kind of turn your brain off a little bit.
I think the
really
movie was very intentionally referencing I want to say 70s, 80s era sci-fi kind of.
Yeah, because we didn't know when this took place until they pulled out a phone or we still didn't know because they're using flip phones, and I think it's modern day, right? So
it felt like modern day. Yeah.
This works much better to me as a Twilight Zone episode more than a movie, I think.
Yeah. I think
that being said, it was paced pretty well. It's 2 hours long, and I didn't feel oh man, I
thought the end kind of dragged just a little bit.
The end dragged, but I also felt this was something that I said after the movie. I felt this movie was a lot of setup for a movie that I want to see, and I don't know if I necessarily needed to see the movie I saw. So when it was ending, I was okay, finally we're getting to kind of the stuff I wanted to get to. Because everything else is so obvious, we're finally getting into the stuff that's not so obvious, and then it ends.
And I will say, as much as I thought it dragged a little bit, it was also there's a moment in the movie towards where I was just okay, if this is an episode of the Twilight Zone, this is the end. And so the fact that it didn't end there and just kept going, to me, I'm oh, okay, movie, now you're giving me something so kind of a little bit more,
Sorry to Bother You vibes a little bit.
Yes, actually, I was comparing it to Sorry to Bother You a lot throughout the movie.
Yeah, I kind of was too, in a sense of it's got a similar tone where it's goofy, but this is very serious stuff we're talking about here.
I want to be clear, it's nowhere near as good as Sorry to Bother You.
Yeah, Sorry to Bother You is incredible. This is good.
But when you watch the movie, you'll understand why that's the comparison that you make.
For sure. Yeah, it's just got a. If you've seen Sorry to Bother You and you feel that's got a weird vibe to it, this is kind of similar.
Maybe not as weird,
this is not as weird. This is not as weird. This is going to turn into a Sorry to Bother You review.
Yeah. We're not reviewing.
How did you feel about John Boyega in this though? I thought John Boyega killed this.
Yeah. I thought he was great. I mean, honestly,
in a better movie, maybe Oscar buzz for his performance. I would say. His performance is great.
There's a lot of nuance to his role,
and you just kind of almost forget that it's John Boyega. I started just seeing the character, and that is hard to do as as an actor. So I think when you start to like forget about the actor and like just see the character.
There's one moment where I remembered, but it's at the very end, so I don't want to spoil it. I'll tell you. I'll tell you after we're done.
Sure, I'm curious what it is. Tiana Paris was really good. Jamie Foxx is Jamie Foxx. So
honestly, in many ways, I kind of thought she was the lead of this movie. Like, as great of a job as John Boyega does, she provides a lot of the like narrative.
I was gonna say she's the narrative thrust of this movie for sure. Yeah. So maybe not the lead, but she's definitely like what pushes the story.
Yeah. She's not a side character by any means.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. Jamie Foxx is Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx is Jamie Foxx. I kept waiting for like him to have maybe a little bit more to do, but like I don't know, he not more to do, but like.
They put him in, I don't want to say a comic relief role because that's not right, but there's many points where that's what it feels like.
Yeah. He could have had more.
There's certain scenes where it's just like he's definitely just the comic relief, which is it's just not bad. Jamie Foxx is really funny. So
and especially when like there's things that happen in the movie that let's just say make you think differently about certain characters, and
sure.
and then you look at them, you're like, well, why don't we flesh this out more? I don't know. I enjoyed this movie. I think the concept is the best part. The concept and the acting are the best parts. How did you feel about like how this was shot and everything?
I thought you were going to get there.
I did not love.
I almost wish that, and this is going like super nitpicky. I almost wish there were two different cameras because I really liked the atmosphere and tone that it brought for like nighttime scenes. I thought nighttime scenes were really, really cool with like the fog and the lights and the way that like played with the camera that they used.
But it just never ends.
some of the daytime scenes, some of the less atmospheric, like there's sometimes where you want things to be like super crystal clear, and it's just not.
Exactly. And I'm thinking to myself, like I said it in the beginning of the movie, I'm like, this looks like it looks so much like it was shot on film that I'm assuming it's digital and it's just like a filter or something.
I'll say this too. It's clearly, I said that it was referencing like 70s sci-fi. I think that was very, very intentional, even down to the shot. Like this feels like a movie that if you ignore like the technology in it, it feels like a movie that you found in like someone's VHS cabinet that they recorded off of a TV.
Sure.
Like
legit.
Like, yeah. It feels like that, and I have to believe that was intentional.
Do you think that this is kind of a broader thing about movies in general? Do you think that movies or filmmakers do that sometimes when they feel like their story might suit like a release date of like 10 years prior better than now? So like if they feel like this movie would have played better in the 2000s, and if somebody watches this in 50 years, they're gonna watch it and be like, yeah, but for the time it was good, not realizing that this actually came out like 40 years or like 30 years later.
I don't know about that,
because I feel like if you told me this movie came out in like 1980 or something, I would say this is a really good movie, especially for the time. Like not that movies weren't great back then, but
I think because it was so obviously like referencing those older movies, I almost feel like it's more of an homage than it is I'm gonna cover up something.
Yeah, but people are dumb.
I don't know, for a directorial debut, this was pretty good.
I thought it was pretty good for a directorial debut too.
I'm gonna give the director credit.
The score was really good. That I felt like that was pretty good. We've had a lot of good scores this year. What else? I feel like there's not much I want to say without like getting into
it. It's very, very difficult to not spoil this movie and also like talk about it succinctly. So
are you ready to score it?
Yeah, I'm ready to score it.
Okay, I'm thinking 7.
That's exactly.
I'm thinking 7. It was good. Like if you were interested in watching this, I would definitely like sit down and watch it with you. Like, but like I don't think I don't think I'm gonna go out of my way to watch it again. Even like at the end of my year when I'm like going to make my list, I don't think I need to rewatch this to solidify where it is on my list. Like I think I know where it is. Like,
there might be when I was putting it on my list, there's definitely a couple of the movies around it where I'm like, I need to rewatch those to get an idea. But I told you this. It's one of those movies where there's definitely very clear-cut flaws, and it's just a question of like if you buy into the movie and if you're willing to just go with it, like you'll have a good time.
Yeah, it's some great concepts. Yeah. Fleshed out as much as it could be, but like this movie wasn't going for that. It was going for more of just like kind of a fun like journey, and I liked it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, you want to take us out?
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you guys next week. I know we got something we're reviewing. Not sure what yet, but we'll see you guys then.
See ya.